Oh wait, I forgot to turn on my iPad. So let me do that really quick. I was tweeting about the stream. I should probably plug this in too. Gotta get this cord. Okay, now we're here for real. But the music is loud, so I'm turning it down. Okay. Diari, hello. Welcome. Jinx, hello. Oh, you're at the show. Have a fun time at the show. It's feeling like he's gonna have stubby legs. Unless I go a little bit further down. Something like this. Elbows about here. This arm is too big. Oh wait. Size was about right, but I want to move it over a little more. Hadn't used the eraser yet that whole time. Yojo, I'm using the big 6B pencil. It's the 6B pencil, but like, I edited it to make it slightly bigger. It's kind of like charcoal brush, but I like the texture a little better. Something like that, I guess. Oh, what if I gave him sandals? Oh, what an interesting development this has become. I don't think I've ever drawn him with sandals before. I guess something like this is probably good. Good enough for now, at least. I don't really know what I'm going to do for the background, if I'm going to do anything at all. I kind of just want to do like a gradient thing. So maybe I'll do that today. And I want to try out some line art stuff also. Just try this technical pencil today. See how it goes. It's kind of hard to see for you guys, but that's fine. Peppermint. Regular pencil. That one's okay, I guess. Just a regular 6B pencil, maybe? I wanted to have like some texture. But at the same time, I don't want it to be like super chunky. Or like have some weird, like with this brush, there's like some weird opacity thing I kind of have to watch out for that I don't really want to deal with, so. Yeah, let's try this one. See how it goes. I already hate it. Fine, I'll use the regular brush. But I do want thinner lines today. going to be doing a lot of like fixing of lines today, because smaller lines almost always have that as a side effect, for me anyway. Oh, that's not what we want. I don't really know how I feel about this hand yet, honestly, but we'll figure it out. I'm trying not to get too, like, bogged down about it, because I'm gonna probably be covering it with some of his pants in a minute. Or his shorts, rather. Edison, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Oh wait, Edson. I apologize. But thank you, regardless. Maybe not that much dark all in one spot. But usually I use very heavy line weight while drawing. So I wanted to try and do something a little different today, just to mix it up a little, you know? Key, hello. I know, right? I always say I'm gonna stream on Wednesday, and then like half the time I either have something else come up or am too tired. This time I was like very tired, so I took a gamble and tried to nap before the stream. Usually that doesn't pay off for me, and I end up missing the stream. But today, it worked. There we go. Maybe not. But yeah, I did actually have time to nap. Sometimes on Wednesdays I do have time to nap. But usually I end up being too sleepy. So I take a nap that I intend to last like a handful of minutes, and then oops, suddenly it's like 9:30. And I'm like, I don't have time to stream and draw, so guess no stream for me. But today I didn't sleep through my alarm, so it's all good. Trying to sort of add a little bit of depth here to separate this arm from his torso. I'm going to do the same over here. But we're trying really, really hard to not get too carried away today. As far as the lines are concerned, this elbow is large compared to the other one. But how's everybody doing tonight? Now that I'm on this line art portion, I guess. I hope all is well. Doing good, tired? Oh. Well, I hope wherever your trip is, it is a wonderful time. You're doing good as well. I'm glad that you are doing good. Nope. Gotta be a lot more careful with these lines. With this brush weight. Because it'll pick up any sort of like weird discrepancy or like faltering in my my movements. That feels too big. That's a little better. Feel like you can make more mistakes? Yes, absolutely 100%. It's kind of a double-edged sword though, because with digital stuff you can kind of just go back and fix whatever you want whenever you want. So because of that, it can be a little bit harder to be like, okay, this is done now. I'm done messing with this forever. Whereas with traditional stuff, it's like, I don't feel like messing with this anymore. I've been messing with this all day. And I would like to be done now. Plus with traditional stuff, maybe not so much with like pencil and paper, but like, alright, most of this experience is from like watercolor and ink stuff, because I used to do that a lot before I got an iPad and started using that instead. But it would be very difficult to... You basically have to like get all the way through it without really messing it up too much, right? Sometimes you can be intentional with like how you know things like your brush or your water or whatever are gonna like work. But you also have to be like flawless in your execution like 100% of the time, or it's a huge pain to go back and fix most of the time. Unless you have a medium like gouache or like oil paints or some sort of like opaque medium where you can go back and like paint over stuff basically. Oops. But especially watercolor, I love using watercolor. But watercolor requires a level of planning that I don't fully ever prepare for. because of the nature of the fact that watercolor is, for the most part, a transparent medium where you build layers on top of one another. So, like, from the very beginning, you need to be focused on, like, okay, what color am I going for exactly, and what color makes up those colors, and that sort of thing. Or, like, what kind of quality do I want this light to have? Like, do I want it to be a cool light? Do I want it to be a warm light? Those sorts of things. So because I never really liked to plan for those things, my abilities to convey exactly what I wanted with watercolor were never quite up to par. I always wanted to try gouache or like poster paints or whatever, but I never really got back into it. Because by then I was like, I could spend a bunch of money on materials again, or I could just buy this iPad and never again have to buy materials. So I went with the iPad instead. But there's a lot of things that you can't do digitally that you can do traditionally that make it worthwhile if that is your thing, like if you're interested in it. I would almost always say to start traditionally and then do digital stuff afterwards, because the fundamentals are always the same. This needs to be a little lower. So the medium doesn't matter too much, but there are certain aspects of like working digitally that you can sort of use as a crutch overall. And you like, it makes it so that you don't necessarily need to learn things, which isn't bad if that's like your intention forever. But if like your program of choice changes or whatever and suddenly you have to figure out a new way of doing something, it's easier when you have that like traditional knowledge base to draw from. Like as an example, Procreate didn't have the gradient maps that I use for the longest time. That's a thing that like Photoshop and Clip Studio Paint had for a while, but Procreate didn't have right out the gate. And I use those a lot for like manipulating color and stuff. So because of that, all of the color choices that I had to make before using those were like a little bit harder. But also, like, in addition to those things, I'm gonna make this like a separate layer down here. I think this angle is not quite right, but at this point I don't care. Like, one of the benefits of working digitally is I could just go in and erase those things now and like use a perspective tool or something to like move them around. But in a traditional medium, it's just like, well, that's how it is, unless I want to erase it or paint over it. And when you do that, there's no guarantee that it's going to look good. I'm going to merge this with the line art layer, so I'm also sort of using this as an opportunity to chisel down how I want his sandals to be. But yeah, there's like tons of like little effects that you can get with like traditional stuff, and like working with a brush especially, that you just can't do digitally because it's not really like a thing that exists very well. I've seen some stuff with like Adobe Fresco that looks a little interesting as far as like blending watercolors type stuff. But those are only like just now becoming a thing because computers need to have like crazy high processing to be able to do that sort of stuff. Accurately, I should say. So we're like starting to get to a point where that's not as big of an issue, which is kind of neat. But certain effects like the way in which you hold your drawing utensil affecting how you can make a mark on the page sometimes can be emulated digitally in certain cases, but not always. Like there are so many neat effects that you can get with like just a brush and ink that you can't really quite get in a digital space yet, or at least that I have found. You can get like close, but it takes like a bunch of extra steps. So in that sense, working traditionally is kind of cool. Because once you sort of have an idea of how your medium of choice works, you can sort of let it do some of the work for you, which is always fun and nice. Especially for things like landscapes and like still lifes and stuff like that, where you can sort of just imply stuff a bunch. Those are a lot more fun with traditional things. In my opinion. Alright, I think we are about good on that boy. I'm debating on if I want to add some extra dark stuff to his hands, but I don't really. Everybody's opinion is a valid opinion. Just because you aren't as well versed in stuff. Well, okay. Within reason, I guess I should say, considering the state of the world. But you are allowed to have your opinion, is the sentiment I was trying to get at there. I didn't actually swap brushes. Let's go with like... Oh, I can merge this down, because I'm gonna do a thing here. I picked that darker color, right? No. Okay. Here. Merge that down. And we'll do one that's lighter up here. Merge that down. And now I will blur this for a fun gradient. Amazing, wow. But also, I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to flip it upside down for reasons that will become apparent later. I guess I can make this black. Where is the... Here it is. Oh man, I hate having to fill in colors when I have tiny lines. This is why I work with thick lines, by the way, because this part is like extra tedious when your lines are thin, because it's like way easier to go outside the lines. It is an eternal struggle, man. It's rough. The crickets had to go away because I had to talk to a person. But I am back now. Hello. Sometimes I wonder if, like, a coloring book of these drawings would be, like, something people would be interested in. Where I just put up, like, a PNG of the line art stuff. Or something. Because the coloring part is always fairly relaxing. Except for right now, because I have tiny lines. But I feel like if I did that, I would have to be, like, very on point about, like, my line weight and stuff, and I'm not at all. I try to be, but I know I'm not. It needs work. Like, it's okay in this one so far, but I could probably push it a little more, if I'm being totally honest. But we're not doing that today. We're just trying to keep things a little simple. Mostly because this is a technique that I see a lot, and like very quick sort of kinda renders, but not fully renders. Like the kind of sketch you would see like a concept artist do. And it's a real fun effect because it's very easy to do, and it works most of the time. I might build on it here, I might just leave it very simple. I haven't fully decided yet. I feel like just leaving it super simple is just gonna be a very, very, very fast drawing though, so I don't know if I want to do that. Because it would literally be one step after the step I'm currently on. And then it would basically be done, so I don't know if I want to do that because it's like super early still. But for anybody out there who wants to do a quick thing that looks like it's gonna be sort of professional, maybe. It's a fun little effect to do. But if I go very fast, I could go back to watching spooky movies. I've been watching spooky movies lately. I made the decision to start one at 1 a.m. last night, and that was like not the best idea in the world. Because it wasn't like super terrifying, but also it was like, I know I'm going to have a nightmare unless I watch something else before I fall asleep. So I ended up staying up a little later than I probably normally would have. Midnight Mass was pretty good. I watched that last weekend? Some weekend. I thought it was alright. There were some parts of it that I was like, oh, I can see where this is gonna go. And I kind of like guessed it very early on into the series, but it still was pretty good. Hill House is very, very good though. Of the three of those like series so far, Hill House is probably my favorite still. But to answer your question, the thing I watched yesterday was The Empty Man, which I ended up liking a lot because it turns out it was just marketed in a very dumb way. And it was actually very interesting. But here's that quick little effect thing. Right, okay, so you get two gradients. And they go in opposite directions. Usually you put one as the background, and then you put one on your character. And usually the one on your character has the light part at the top and the dark part at the bottom. This is not always the case, but it is sometimes the case. And you just kind of do that, and it's like a whole thing now. It's really, really simple and easy to do. And I feel like I see stuff like this all the time online from like concept artist type folks. And you can even just like slap a whole color on top. And it's like, wow, amazing. But yeah, the Empty Man I thought was like very unfortunately. I'm gonna turn this down and just kind of. Actually, what if I put it on like I guess. I don't know what that actually is doing here, but I guess. Yeah. I heard about the Empty Man like prior to watching it. Like I saw it in commercials and stuff, and I was like, this looks dumb. But then it showed up in like a list of like cosmic horror movies, and I was like, that's surprising. And I watched it, and it was very, very much that. But the way it was marketed was like a teens do a spooky thing and then a spooky monster man chases them, but it's like that's part of it, but a very, very small part of it. The whole thing is more about like some unexplainable reality type stuff and like maybe a conspiracy, maybe a cult thing. It's like one big old mystery the whole way around. So if you are into that sort of thing, I recommend checking it out, but also learn as little about it as you can before watching it, because being confused the whole time until like the very end makes for a more fun experience, in my opinion. It's apparently based on a graphic novel, or a series of graphic novels, I should say. But after looking up those novels, it seems different from the films by like a lot. So I may have to go watch or read those just to see what it's like. I was gonna do blue stuff actually today, because I did a bunch of warm colors recently. Let's go with these, I guess. Ah. Horror movie analysis got no work done. That's unfortunate for your employer, but for you, I say, that's probably a good day. The unfortunate thing about the list of like cosmic horror things, cosmic horror as a genre is very interesting to me. So I was like, oh, I want to check these out. But like everything on the list is like some impossible movie to find, or on a streaming service that I don't use, or like one of those ones that is like on Amazon but you still have to pay for it, so there's like no point in having it be on Amazon. I hate those. It's not necessarily like exclusively stuff that takes place in space though, Nick. It's like spooky, unknowable, like things in the universe kind of deal. Like Cthulhu and stuff, like that sort of thing, where it's like the thing comes from space, but it's not necessary. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be set in space, or it doesn't even have to like necessarily be related to our understanding of space. It's just like something from another dimension or something, maybe sometimes. The movie Annihilation was on that list, and that's a very good movie. If you've seen it, it's a little more popular than that other thing I was talking about, so I think it's probably a more accurate indicator of what I'm talking about. But that movie was cool. I really like that movie. The scene with the bear is one of my favorite scenes in a movie, just because it's so creepy and weird. But The Empty Man was on HBO, so I was like, I'll watch this, because I have HBO still. And the other one that was on there that I watched recently was Event Horizon. That one is in space. They find like a spaceship and some stuff happened to it, and it's real spooky. I guess like Prometheus also counts. Bear Boy, hello. I have not seen The Color Out of Space. That was the next one I wanted to watch from that list though, but it's like not on a streaming service I have. I think it's like on Amazon, but it's one of those ones that you still have to pay for, so I was like, I'll watch this if I have nothing else to watch. I'll bite the bullet eventually, but I don't want to if I can avoid it. But I guess it's got Nicolas Cage in it, so I was like, I do kind of really want to watch this. And it's like a Lovecraft story, so I was like, I'm checking it out. Oh, is it on Shudder? I forgot all about that streaming service, to be honest. I don't watch horror movies super frequently, so I kind of forgot that that was a platform that even existed. Not gonna lie. Maybe I could try it out for a month though, because it is about to be spooky month, so I feel like I would watch a lot more spooky things. I wonder if It Follows is on there. I gotta watch that movie again. I haven't seen it in a minute. That's always like my go-to kind of super creepy movie for folks. Oh, it is? Okay. Maybe I'll have to check out Shudder then. I wonder if they have like some kind of October deal or something. I bet you their numbers spike up in October. Like real hard. That'd be kind of funny. Nope. Didn't want that. We're gonna add some text. Because it's too easy not to. Silver, hello. How are you? Something like that's probably fine. Good enough. I'm just gonna put this up here so I know it's not part of that group. Ah. Messing with these dots is always a little hit or miss. Sometimes it is really good and cool and accurate, and other times it's like, no, not at all. I'm realizing that I want this to be slightly to the right and I can't really move it now. How unfortunate for me. I guess I could just physically drag these over. That doesn't seem like the right way to do it, though. Oh, well. Turnip, hello, welcome. Did some shopping, fleshing out a new OC. Nice. I've been thinking about adding yet another boy. Due to a conversation with a friend recently. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like I have so many of them. I gotta draw the line somewhere, you know? I'm using the same brush that I usually use, Turnip, which is the Studio Pen. It's just very small today. Because I wanted to try some small lines this time. As far as like ones that I draw regularly, Nick, it is 7. So this could be 8 if I was to add another one. But in terms of like ones that exist in my head that I'm aware of in this town that they live in, it's like 30. Although some of them I have never drawn. I just know of them. And I'm like, I have a general vibe of, but I have never fully like figured out what their deal is, you know? guess I can't do this red thing I was gonna do. Let's choose another color. I kind of like that a lot better, actually. So for those just joining us, what my goal was for today was to simply do like a where's the normal layer button? Here it is. Like one of those like quick render dealies that you see sometimes. So a quick way to do that is you get two gradients. It's like the same gradient, but one is flipped upside down. You get one of those to your character and one of those for your background, and you have them go in like alternating directions. And it's like a very quick way to make a thing that stands out from the background a little bit. So all I did was just take that layer and set it to overlay. So it still has the same kind of effect, but I can add some color to it if I wanted to. And then I put just a flat color over everything to sort of unify all the colors together. I'm going to do a shadow layer, but I'm not sure if I want to do it above this gradient or below it. Let's pick this color. Let's try it and see what happens. If I put it above the gradient, I can set this to just leave it at normal and turn it down, I think. And it should still work. When do they hit store shelves? I have no idea. I don't even know how that process even remotely works, so. Unless someone out there in the fashion industry wants to get at me, then it's probably not gonna happen. Unfortunately. At least not for a really long time, because researching is effort. And sometimes it's hard. And when you're like working a full-time job and also drawing and stuff, sometimes research is not what you want to do when you have extra time. The only part of this shadow that I'm currently concerned about is when I get to his hair, because his hair is going to be darker than the rest of these colors. So this shadow might work a little bit differently. Oh wait, this is all on a clipping mask. I don't have to be so afraid of going outside the lines here. I am a graphic designer in my day job. It's okay. It's good for if you are at all interested in this type of like illustration and want to apply both of those sets of skills. Comics is like a very good place to apply those things, because you'll have a lot of experience with like hierarchy and like leading a viewer's eye throughout the page, letting them see what you want them to see, kind of thing. And also understanding like how to mess with text is pretty helpful for comics. But also that means you kind of have to write some stuff sometimes or find a writer, because storytelling is kind of important for comics. So, or you could just use your design and illustration skills together for other stuff like publications and children's books, which is a thing I've only gotten to do once, but I didn't get to use my illustrations for, unfortunately. I just helped someone lay out theirs, which was painful. Painful because it was like, I just want to draw this instead. But it was like a sentimental thing for this person, because it was like their kid drew them or something. I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Either her kid drew them or she drew them for her kid. I think it might have been the latter. But she told me like many times, like, I can't draw. But yeah, I would say if you are interested in graphic design, definitely check it out. It's one of those things that like you can apply it to a lot of stuff, really. Like it isn't just necessarily one thing. It kind of can go in a lot of different places, and all the stuff that you do with it kind of still makes sense. Twitch, don't yell at me for this one shadow in particular. Let me finish. Twitch, let me finish. Don't yell at me. Oh, sorry. I just suddenly realized what I was doing on twitch.tv. Putting shadows on a butt. Oh no. But yeah, graphic design is one of those things that's like very broad in terms of application. You can be very specific with how you pursue it, or you can be very general about it as well, and it works in a lot of places, which is kind of nice. Like, you don't necessarily need to be a quote-unquote graphic designer with your graphic designer knowledge. You can use it in a lot of other places that are like art related in general. I guess graphic design is like a very broad term as well too, so it makes sense. But also, if you want to make a lot of logos, that's where you might want to start. I honestly don't like making logos, if I'm going to be totally transparent with y'all. It's like one of my least favorite things, but also it's one of the things I get asked to do the most. It's kind of disappointing. So be ready for that. As soon as other folks find out you're a graphic designer, they're going to ask you for logos, no matter what it is you actually do. Actually, even if you're not a graphic designer and they find out you're an artist of some kind, they're going to ask you for logos, no matter what it is you actually do. I've come to find that as well. Through friends who are like, I didn't go for graphic design, I'm just a person who draws stuff. And then folks are like, cool, make me a logo, because it's 2021 and apparently everyone needs one. Website design is still pretty relevant. That's kind of what I do most often. Although a lot of the time for me, it's like very easy work, but for other folks, it's like stuff they just can't be bothered to learn how to do. I guess. At least that's how it feels to me sometimes, because it's like, really, you guys could just do this. I promise you, it's not hard. But like having some kind of experience with making websites is always helpful in the year 2021. But if you have like existed on the internet in any capacity, you will probably not have any problems with website design in the slightest. Like if you had a MySpace page, you're a web designer. You can do it, I promise you. Just get on like WordPress and Squarespace and use all that HTML knowledge you got from MySpace and you're good. It's like still the same. Like that's the sort of stuff that usually comes up for me the most, because I'm not like a coder in any respect. Like I'm not an engineer of any kind. I'm just like, I know how to make it look pretty not bad. And then I get my MySpace on. But if it's something like very specific, then I'm like, I don't know how that works, man. You gotta get someone else to do that. I don't know how that is. And or you just Google it and try to figure it out and hope you don't break everything. But as part of my like design schooling, HTML and stuff like that was like part of it. That was always like my least favorite, because the place that I learned all my design things from has been like around for a while, and all of the professors there have been doing this for a minute. So sometimes I feel like as a prank, in a lot of cases, they'd be like, here's how you do it the way that it was originally, and then we'll show you how to do it with modern day technology. So when we had to learn how to do website stuff, it was very much like, alright, we're going to let you use the oldest version of Dreamweaver that we can find, and you're going to have to manually find any typos that are in your code. No Control F for you, you're going to manually type everything. And that was always a bummer. So that was like one of my least favorite things to do. But in certain areas, like traditional art, that sort of thing is fine. But with digital things where it's like constantly changing all the time, it's like, I'm never going to need to know how to do this probably. Actually, no, I won't say that. Sometimes it's very helpful to have an idea of like, this is how things used to be in the before times, so that if any of your stuff breaks and you have like I need this out today, right now situation, you can kind of fumble your way through it, I guess. But having to do like clipping masks and effects like that you can do in digital programs like manually, ugh. They didn't make us do all of those things all of the time, but they did like show us how they did it before computers were a thing. At which point everyone in the class was like, we are so sorry that you had to go through this, because that sounds like the absolute worst. But then at the same time, we also had like very, very easy, in my opinion, sorts of classes that were like, here's how you use Photoshop, or here's how you use Illustrator. And those were always kind of chill, which was nice. Nowadays you can just go on YouTube and learn all those things though, so it's not like the most important thing in the world. Although the professor that I had for that class was very, very instrumental for a real world experience, I shall say. She was a pretty cool person. She had like this crazy story that she told us one class that I feel like I've talked about on stream before, but she like basically told us her whole life story one time, and it was the most wild that I've ever heard. But she was like, I'm trying to think of how to describe her. What's that like potions person that's not Snape, the plant lady from Harry Potter, the plant professor lady? She has like big glasses and like crazy hair. She was like that person for real. But also had the most ridiculous life story. But she was very, she taught us stuff in that class, and she had two things about her for that class that, like, at the time was very annoying, but in the real world is like, oh, this is probably one of the most important things that she could have taught us. One of them was whenever we submitted our projects to her, we had to submit the whole thing, so, like, not just the design itself printed on the page or whatever. We had to submit like all of our files and basically show our work kind of deal. So because of that, she had a very specific like filing system. Like you have to name your files in a particular way, otherwise like it doesn't count, basically. And at the time that was a huge pain, but after a while it just sort of became like the way everyone named their files. So moving into the real world, it's like, oh, I can find everything immediately now because my naming conventions have all basically stayed the same. And it makes it easier to find things when it's like, didn't I make something like this forever ago? And I can just take a part of it and use it in this new thing. And the other one was she would she did this thing, and I'm still not sure if she did it on purpose or not, but she did, like, the way that class works was like or the way that all of our classes worked basically was like we had 2 classes a week, but each of the classes was like almost 3 hours long. So the first one would basically be like, we're going to teach you a thing in this class, and you're going to learn about something. And then the next class after would be like, all right, so we taught you about this thing. Now you have to like work on a project that's related to that thing we just taught you. So the second class was more often than not like a work day kind of deal, where the professors would be able to like go around and check out your stuff, give you feedback as you were working on it before you got like too far into whatever it was you were doing. I'm going to do another layer because I have so much time. So during those like workday things, I don't know if I'm going to put this here. This actually, I kind of hate where it's at, but go away. What she would do during those classes would be to like wander around, going to like computer to computer, checking out people's stuff as they work on it. And then she'd be like, oh, what if you try doing this? Or I think you should try this thing instead. That might be kind of rad. And then you like go through all of the like effort and time to do this change that she wanted. And then she would be like, oh, yeah, that first thing you had was like way better. Go back to that. It would be like, you told me to change it. But in the real world, that is a thing that clients do all the time. So it helps to be like jaded to this as early as possible. Because it, I guarantee you, will happen to you. But if you're just kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll change it, then it's not a big deal. But if you're like, but I did all the things you asked, I worked for hours on this, and now you want me to go back to that thing that I had a minute ago, you'll get very upset very frequently, and it will not be a fun time. So because of that, I'm not sure if she did that on purpose, or if she just like did it accidentally and like accidentally prepared everybody for for actual real world life. But that's a thing that applies to not just graphic design. So anybody who's thinking of like doing anything commission based or client based, just like know that it's coming. That is a thing that will happen to you at least one time, and you kind of just have to roll with it. You can't like flip out and be mad. Take deep breaths and save often, I guess. Oops. Oh, that's fun. We actually had, like, as part of our required classes, we had a class that was that exactly. But it wasn't a competition. It was basically like the school had its own design firm that was like employed by us, the students. So we were basically like interns at a design firm owned by the school. So like real people from the area would come in and be like, I have this thing that's happening. Can you make us something? And because it was like all design students, they would get like a cheaper price. But they also had to understand that it was design students, so they couldn't like get super mad or refuse to pay or whatever. But I thought that was kind of neat. It gives you like real world experience with like working with a design team and stuff. Oh, they used yours instead of the winner. That's funny. But good for you guys. Part of me wants to put one here, but I don't know if that's really necessary. I'm gonna try it and see what happens. Oops. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Oh, you didn't get any prize money? That's unfortunate. I forgot you said there was prize money involved. Ours wasn't like a paid thing. For us, we got like credits out of it, so that's why we were basically just like interns for the school. But the clients did pay. They just paid the school, not us. But because of that, it was like good experience for like figuring out how invoices work and how billing works, because we had to do all of that as part of the class. We had to like send out the invoices to our clients and stuff. Very helpful for the like 2 times I've done commissions. But it always gives me anxiety. It's so much to do. I always have like mad respect for people who are able to do commissions like as a full-time thing, because the amount of admin that it must take is just so much. And it just stresses me out so hard every time. Bring this further back here. But like, I feel like if I had someone who could just like do all the admin stuff for me, I would probably do commissions a lot more frequently. Because that's always my least favorite part about them, is emails and follow-ups and tracking people down and stuff like that. But if someone could just appear and be like, Zordon for me. Rangers, we need you to draw this boy doing this thing. And I'd be like, okay, Zordon, off I go. Meanwhile, Zordon and Alpha are the ones sending like all the emails and getting the invoices and all that stuff. It's drawing time. I just do like a bunch of yeah. Super unnecessary movements while drawing every time. That would be really fun, actually. Dress up as Power Rangers for Halloween one year? Maybe. That's a lot of Rangers, though. They don't usually have that many, right? It's usually like 6 at most. Although, I guess it kind of works, because Cecil would be like the villain, so he wouldn't be a Ranger. I guess it works. I could do that, maybe. Generation crossover thing. He's Rita. Yeah, he's the Lord Zed of the universe. I'm gonna give him a couple little thingies for extra curls, I guess. Cecil's Ivan Ooze, oh no. decided I don't like this. Away with you. Oh, but I do need some shadows for here. That's why this looked weird. I was like trying to figure it out and I couldn't. We ain't put no shadows on his head. Now you got me thinking, like, who would be what color, though? Tank would be red. Jesse would be black, I guess. So Kai would be blue. Felix is pink. I can't determine. I guess Junior would be like the green one? Like the one that comes later? Because he's as farthest away from everybody else, I guess. I don't know. So that means Roz would be yellow? Oh yeah, the white one. That's right. I forgot he changes colors. Roz is yellow because it's good for his skin. Maybe. I don't fully know, actually. Have I drawn him with like a bunch of yellow before? I don't think I have. Although his skin tone's darker than Tank, and Tank usually looks pretty good with yellow, so I guess that tracks. I'm gonna do something for the background now. Just 'cause I can. Oops. Where's the... Oh, that's already as bright as it goes. Okay. Well, I guess that's it for this then. This one was pretty simple. I kind of knew it would be from the beginning, but... yeah. So, let's... Oh, I can delete this now. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do my usual nonsense. It may not improve anything, actually, but I'm gonna do it anyway, because I can. I don't feel like stopping yet. This is what we call noodling. Where you just kind of do extra stuff that you don't really need to do, but you just feel like being a little bit extra. This is usually what I describe as like getting too carried away as well with something. I'm gonna put this down here actually. And then, do I want to leave these lines black, or do I want to make them just this color instead? I've decided to go with that color instead. Just background stuff. Group all of that stuff. Oops. Oh. Oh. Let's do both of those things. It makes the lighting a lot more harsh. Let's try this one, even though I might not like it at all. This one? This one? Or this one? I don't really want that one because it's a little too monochromatic. Yeah. Yeah. Without, with. It's a very subtle difference for you guys, but you gotta trust me, it's the difference. And since my name is already on his, waistband, I'm not gonna write it additionally, so. Come on. There we go. So there we go. I guess that'll be the end for this one. Get that round brush in there. When it works, it works. It's true. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? But there we go. A quick one today. There we go. Thanks for chilling, y'all. We did a quick one. So there's not a whole lot to it, I guess. I don't know what else to say. I don't know. Yeah, so I guess that's it for this one. I will post this onto Twitter and Instagram in mere moments. So if you're not following me in those places, you know, maybe check them out if you want. I should be back on Monday, maybe, perhaps, probably. I will usually tweet about when I'm live. So again, if you're not following me on the Twitter and you're interested in more streams like this, maybe do that if you have a Twitter. But also I'm not your dad, so you can do whatever you want. I don't like to command people to do things. It's all very much like a free will kind of zone. You can do whatever you want. You know? Everybody's bombarded with ads at all points in time. In the year of our Lord 2021. So, with everyone constantly being do this thing, sometimes you just want to be I'm not going to make you, but if you want, it's there. I would appreciate it if you did, but again, you don't have to, because I'm not your dad. I'm rambling again, you guys. This happens every time. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna end it here. I should be back on Monday, and in the meantime, everybody have a wonderful rest of your week, and a wonderful weekend. Go out and do something nice for someone, just for the sake of doing something nice for someone. And then perhaps someone will do something nice for you, for no reason at all. Go out there and be good. Be the good you want to see in the world. I'm rambling so much harder than usual. I'm gonna end the stream before I just forget how to stop talking. Good night, everyone.